Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
John Riggio, our pro tennis player, our author, our architect, and dear friend, soon to be, let's see, movie star as well. Books here. Oh, you can't see it. It's my own court, but it's here. My own court, the life story of tennis legend John Riggio, a man who does so much. And again, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And fill us in. What are we talking about today?
Okay, so today I was just remembering things about the past from the last couple of shows we had. And today we're going to talk about some memories from college. I have some interesting stories to tell.
Of course you
And I
do.
can talk about some.
This man has so many stories, hence the book. You have to read it. Go ahead.
I have some interesting stories to tell that were happening locally also. Really, the most recent story I have here is with the great projects I've been showing and business expanding. There's a lot of construction going on. What happened is recently I found out that someone set up a illegal office. This is an office where they don't have any license and it was operating illegally for the last few years.
Wow.
And the sad thing is this type of thing it ended up taking a lot of money in projects. I think the number of projects they had down were a minimum 8 jobs. And
Wow.
in the same kind of projects. So I just found a printout recently from the state that they did catch them. I think whoever did it, they didn't put together their paperwork correctly and it was done very sloppy. So what happened was, I guess whoever was like designing houses and was making money off of it, but they ended up catching him
Oh my goodness.
and told him to stop doing work. So that is what's been going on around here. So that is a
Wow.
sad thing, and which is unfortunate. That's interesting thing that was happening, and yeah, I just found out about that recently. But somehow it got discovered. I don't know what brought about the discovery of that happening to them, and they did get in trouble for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that has to do with also tech work and construction as a business. I've met some people
Hear
who
about
went
that.
into construction as a businessman, and they after they found that they can work in the industry and make good money, they went to school and got their certifications. One uh my client, he went and he got his certifications. He did an accelerated class too.
Oh wow.
Got his construction certifications and did all his business organization. So he covered everything when he realized that there was good money in the industry. And then I very interesting heard later on that he went back into the construction industry. He tried some other things in manufacturing after that, and then went back into the construction industry and found that that was a good steady job for him, and
Mm-hmm.
he kept it. And he originally was a business major,
Wow.
that whole thing, which is very interesting. Myself, this whole thing with my architecture career really started from elementary school with tests and classes and
I saw some of your
knowing I
work.
can do the
You
work,
brought it
and
on.
then
You saw. I love it. You brought it on. I was able to see your first drawings.
yes. So my work is completely different than some people I'm doing business with. Some people they're going into it, they're researching the industry and getting all their paperwork and certifications correct, and then everything goes ahead for them.
Yeah.
That's just another way of doing things. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, and so that was very interesting. And I learned that over the years, things like that. That was a interesting thing to do. I think recently I've been hiring people with resumes, and I noticed some people they do a switch over from one major. Some people have like a degree in engineering and then they find they really like architectural work better, which is very interesting. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people they
Yeah.
just find that they have talents to do that and they ended up just switching over. I think at some point, probably switching over with some kind of certifications is also good with that type of thing to show that you then can then apply that new knowledge and get more certifications
Mm-hmm.
in the same field is probably a good thing to do. That was interesting. I think one thing I noticed recently is I took some business classes, get her some certificates. It's made a big change in my office. It's filled the gaps from going to architecture school. The only type of business classes you can take is as an elective. They're very difficult with architecture students in other departments in college. It isn't the easiest way to go. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I did this years later taking some certificate course that was specifically just for the very learning of business as far as starting a your own business called business startup classes, and then expanding your business was the next certificate class. I think just the very basics of learning were very good, and that has really helped my business. And with continuing education, they just recently they I was reading some educational sessions that are made for business, just for architects and engineers. And that has really helped. That is something, a new idea. They don't push that in school. They don't care too much about that. They
Yeah.
assume that you would get the idea to go into education and business on your own. And I think I sort of to take to that idea, just sort of learning slowly, uh, and taking business courses slowly. I think one interesting story I have from college is, of course, with college, I had friends from my tennis too in college, and that put me with a whole different kinds of people. So one friend I had in college that I made was she was a female student. Don't really want to say her name,
Mm.
but she had amazing talent. She was only like 19, 20 years old, and she was able to buy her own restaurant and make so much money with it. Especially even today, she was able to make, from what she told me, $1 million in her bank account. That's clear of taxes, all of her expenses, employees. And so she had some like amazing star ability at business. And that was really amazing. In fact, she had already opened up a restaurant on her own and she already sold it. At the time I knew her, she had already sold her office. And she she was already planning a next restaurant from that. She was planning to open a new one. And she was really in college at a young age, learning her more business, getting a degree in business. And in fact, she did
Mhm.
succeed. She did succeed at the next business too. I knew her for a number of years after college also, and she succeeded at that, and she was able to go from million to 3 million, and she was very successful. She had an amazing ability to do this. I think so. Everyone has ability in, doing their major, and that's why they're in school, and her ability was really to excel in business, and this was really good. I think at the time some people did know about her. I think she
Mm-hmm.
was interviewed and things like that, that she was like a business star. This was very interesting. And I think talking to her, I was completely clueless about really business startup and things like that. Even though I can do my own like drawing, someone could hire me. It's the most simple business. You would just put down your income and your name, startup for architect income. You could just do it very simply on your own Schedule C form.
Oh.
So when I was talking to her, asking her how I could do some business, she gave me such a thing about doing business. She told me that I can call the bank, I can get a margin loan, I could do all these things. And I was like, oh, okay. I wrote it all down and I
Uh-huh.
called the bank. And the lady that answered the phone, she was laughing. She was laughing because I think she picked up, she could tell that I was really doing more like architect work. It wasn't really
Yep.
like business, like starting new businesses. And she was just laughing at me, and she was just saying, um, uh, that the what I was talking about was really very advanced. And in fact, I didn't go ahead with getting a loan with that particular bank. I think at that age I did try some things like margin loaning and did pay the back fully and things like that, just
Yep.
as a little experiment. But I couldn't grasp onto advanced business knowledge like that. I needed years of training probably to do something like that. So I was talking to my friend there, and she was saying the same thing. I was explaining that I have no business knowledge. I need just a very basic business knowledge to inch ahead, just to
Yep.
very go one step at a time to really inch ahead to move up. While her knowledge was so advanced that she can immediately go into like $1 million business. And that was so very interesting. And so I knew her for a number of years. She's very nice. And yeah, she has amazing ability and smarts like that. That's why, and she was in college getting her degree to really even get more knowledge and advanced her career in business. And years later, she did open more restaurants. She was very successful. I had met her a few times years later, and she was very successful. She went to the same college, NYIT, with that. So she had amazing ability. One interesting thing that I was thinking about at school was at NYIT. Um, I wasn't put in the newspaper then, but what happened was there was such a horrible thing that happened at NYT. And this story, it doesn't really affect anyone. It doesn't really say anything bad. But what happened there was a horrible event. And this was at the time when my architecture college was getting their accreditation. And they had people walking around from the NCARB and on the campus, and they were investigating the campus to give them the approval and everything, and looking at the classwork. And of course, they took all my classwork and showed it to them too. I really helped with their accreditation. But on the other side of campus, I was going to one of my classes that was located in the old science building. They had the old library there before the new library. And I was walking from the parking lot all the way down by the dairy barn and heading all the way into the middle of the campus. And in between the middle of the campus, they have this like water pond, which is really part of their utility system. And there's like this path in between, and they have all kinds of trees and shrubs. Unfortunately, that was the same day that they had a school shooter.
Oh my gosh.
And I was walking across this path, and I see this young girl with some other people walking in front of her, behind her. I see her fall down on the floor. I see her fall down on the floor, and of course, I'm always someone who's willing to help people. I run right for her. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what the problem was. So I see two people next to her. They went down next to
Wow.
her to see how she is. She didn't
Mm-hmm.
look good. She was completely motionless on the ground. I
Ah.
was later to find out that she died. She
Ah.
was shot by this school shooter. But what happened between the time I started running and going towards her, I had my books, my hardcover books from college. I don't carry a backpack. I
Yeah.
carried them in front of me. So just by chance, I didn't want to say how horrible it was, but the bullets they came over to me and they bounced off my book. So I
Mm-hmm.
think in the effort to try to help her, I think I might have helped because I was told this crazy story that there was one shooter, then he fell, and then the next shooter, and then he fell, and then the third guy was a policeman who stopped the whole thing. So by the time I was running towards her, Uh, uh, I saw all of a sudden the shooter, and I think I'm getting distraction
Wow.
might have helped. He fell to the ground, and and then also then by the time some policeman was there, he's around me, and then I did feel a couple bullets bounce off my buttocks. And just by chance, I was lucky
Hmm.
that I also was wearing this suede leather jacket. So I think from just by chance, I don't think I really had any bullets. But I think that was really very interesting. And so from the time I walked from approaching that piece of
Hmm.
walkway over the utility pond they have there to the time I'm past the utility pond, walking up these concrete steps, which enters into this like little plaza area, a few bullets did bounce off my books, and the whole
Oh,
thing, by the time I'm walking up the steps, it was solved. I saw the policeman have
wow.
both of the snipers there on the ground. And unfortunately, the young girl that I initially went running over to, she did
Yeah.
die. Once
Oh,
she fallen down, she never regained any consciousness or anything. And I don't know if any of the other people on the path were had fallen down or not. I don't remember them, but I remember her because they had the administration of the school on the radio saying that, of course, that they were very sorry what happened, that she did die.
mm-hmm.
And that was the strange thing. I didn't go
Oh,
run over to tell them I was saw what happened or anything. I didn't bother with it. And so that was a very interesting story. I was in the middle of that whole story that was taking place. It was in the news.
yeah.
It was officially in the news. It wasn't something they kept quiet. It was in the newspaper, and it was just a strange story that I went running over there, tried to help, and just some bullets just bounced off my books. It was really crazy. It was an amazing story. And so that was one strange thing that happened at the cottage. And I think that wasn't like an everyday event. From the cottage experience, I think that was the only one-time thing. I just remember there was a lot of pressure in the school at that time in the architecture department because they were getting accredited and they had people there looking around and everything.
Yeah.
So I think so that was just very interesting with
Yeah.
what was happening. I think at the college, NYIT is it's a large school, it's a city university, and has all different cottages. They have a college of business, they have a college of architecture, different
Communications.
colleges within. Yes, and that is what was happening there. So that was very interesting. What events took place back then, and so there was some very interesting things. I think as far as present day times, just thinking about the architecture work at this time is going to my architect office and doing the everyday work. Is the architect work is there's always ever changing things with technology. I think I had shown in some
Hmm.
previous podcasts some things about some new technologies happening. So things are slowly changing in this profession. It isn't that stagnant. Everything isn't just poured concrete that's the same all the time or anything. There's a lot of different things slowly changing in technologies and some very interesting things are going on. There's some, for example, some interesting things that have been going on very slowly that no one even knows about is the windows. The window U value is slowly going down and down. They're trying to make the windows go down and down because the energy code is just slowly creeping worse and worse.
Really?
And that's one interesting thing.
Hmm.
The next thing is with that was that insulation. The insulation, the they have all new technologies. What was
Mm-hmm.
usually an R19 is now R21, and looks exactly the same. And they moved up all the different types of insulation to try to meet the new codes. There's even a new one that what was happening in the houses is they were using this foam insulation for everything. First, it started off as a basic insulation you put around your windows, but in
Yeah.
construction, they started to use this foam insulation throughout everything in the house.
Okay.
You'd have to look at the construction site to see when people put wires through the wood and put all kinds of exhaust through the floors. They put this insulation. Now, just recently, a contractor showed me this form that they're handing out that the foam insulation is no longer allowed around any type of firewall use. So you're not allowed to use the foam to seal around any type of
Really?
pipes going through a firewall. They discontinued
Uh-huh.
that idea. Originally, great idea. You could just take a can of foam and spray it in there in 2 seconds. They disconnected this idea. Another thing that they already did a few years ago was they were telling everyone to put this glue down under their hardwood floors and
What?
glue the subfloor down. And
Huh.
that was one idea that did not go ahead because when you glue down the wood, it doesn't make it where the wood pieces can move. Everyone's house, all the wood, moves just slightly, and by doing
Yeah.
that, it's a great advantage between things like heating and cooling, storms, things like that, that the house can move a little without breaking apart, and walking on floors. But this idea of gluing down the wood subfloor to the joist and even the floor down to the subfloor, the hardwood to the
Wow.
subfloor, turned out to be a big. The idea really wasn't good, and that is one thing that isn't really good. I think one things that were have been a great success and is really taking is the high efficiency boiler units.
Yeah.
We use this on every job. The high efficiency
Mm-hmm.
is going over a 90% efficiency or above. It makes it where you don't need any chimney. So this whole thing has removed the chimneys from all the houses,
Yep.
and all you use is PVC to exhaust the air and PVC to bring the air in. And it has become a big savings. It gets rid of all those problems with the chimneys. The chimneys had a lot of problems over the years, chimneys cracking, air coming through the chimneys. And it was also low efficiency. Only maybe 80% efficiency was wasting a lot of energy. And so the new high efficiency has taken hold and it's been very well. I think in one part of the high efficiency was the tankless hot water heaters. So a lot of houses
Mm.
they started to use this going back years ago with called they had this. It was like I think it was a Bali unit they had, and now everyone has it. Ream has it. All the different companies are now making this tankless hot water heater, which is a direct vent, means it just uses a PVC pipe to just vent out some additional air that it uses. You can get it in electric, get it in gas, and this has worked very good. I think at
Mm-hmm.
some stage, some people like the little extra water tank that you could put on there. But I think these days, some people have those units and they're using them just as they're supplied. They're not playing around with them too much these days. They have this nice size unit. They just put it right on the wall, and it is very good. It's a very high efficiency unit. And so these are all changes that are slowly taking place. I think with those mechanic units was also a change from copper piping over to Plex piping, which is a plastic pipe. It's even color coded. You have blue for the cold lines and red for the hot lines, and this goes through so everything is color coded. If someone to make a repair to any piping or change a piping, they can see the pipe color. They know exactly what it is, if it's a hot water or cold water. In the previous piping system, there's no color indications. You would have to go back to the main unit, figure it out someplace. If you just quickly looked at the pipes, there's no way to know what pipeline it is. So this is another technology that's slowly changing. All the houses are really using plastic piping
Wow.
for all of their fixtures. was this thing with flashing. For a while, they had plastic flashing, and I think the plastic flashing, it turns out, the initial flashing they made really did not succeed. It seems to have only lasted, if you put a piece of flashing under your window, but maybe only 5 years or something, it starts to deteriorate.
Yeah.
They have some new ones now. That is unfortunately one flashing that didn't work too good.
Hmm.
And so they have been improving it. They're making it a little different. They make it more like a roll of tape now, and that's a
Yeah.
new type of flashing they have. So, of course, with the flashing, you're still not to use the foam around, say, particularly window flashing. You can put the foam in there. That
Yeah.
solves a problem with the water and air blowing around window frames that they have. So that is pretty good. And so I was over by the Anderson windows a couple of weeks ago. They did a little demonstration for architects and engineers, and yeah, I noticed even their windows, they're pretty much getting rid of a lot of the wood frame. The wood, a lot of it is really mostly just a veneer, and a lot of it is really made from like plexiglass and different composites and things like that, and vinyl cladding. And so that is something that's slowly changing over the years, and so that is pretty good. And so the technology in the construction, of course, the technology in construction with the floor joists, I have always showed that we're using a lot of I joists. These are
Mm-hmm.
factory engineered, and this is replacing a lot of the use of a 2x12. Some jobs I'm getting involved with these days, I'm even going up to an I16. I have a 16-inch I joist spanning a nice long distance. I'll have to show you some pictures of it coming up. And
Okay.
but then also, of course, the foundation technology, instead of the very basic pouring of concrete and block, they're going with the new Superior walls, which is manufactured in a factory. It's already has metal concrete insulation, and they just put it in with a crane. And this is a new idea for basic construction. It eliminates a footing too. No more footing. They just put this gravel underneath the whole foundation and the slab. And this works pretty good for drainage because you put a couple drainage pipes under there and all the water can drain into the pipes. And this improves the situation with a lot of people having the whole thing with the water table and the water drainage and things like that in storms. So this helps out with that whole situation because the whole water drainage is built into the design of the system. So it's pretty good. So all those things are slowly changing.
All
There
right.
are, of course, other different things that are going on in construction, and that is just one thing. So it isn't just the steady construction of, say, basic poured concrete or something like that. There's a lot of new technologies. Some technologies also coming up are using the computer software.
Oh,
I think years ago I used to have to calculate the energy code and different things like that, and mechanical. A lot of them are becoming computerized.
much easier.
And it prints out a report.
Yeah.
They even have something new now for mechanical air now. It's required to do the mechanical air on the computer and print out a report in addition to the schematic drawings.
Can you
This
show
is
us next time? Sorry, we're out of
yeah,
time, John. I never heard of that. Oh, cool, cool, cool. All right, John, to
yes.
wrap up today, how can we contact you?
Of course, go to my webpage, www.johnriggio.com, and there I have a description of my work. I have portfolio, and of course, I have my contact information. So if you're interested in designing a new house, addition, commercial building, just give me a call and I'll go over your project.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Thanks, John.
All right, bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Jason Derulo. I love that music connects to people all over the country. But unfortunately, so does something else. Childhood hunger. 15 million kids struggle with hunger right here in America. And yet, every year, billions of pounds of surplus food in the U.S. go to waste instead of going to the children in need. Feeding America is working to change this. The Feeding America nationwide network of food banks rescues this surplus of food to help provide meals to families in virtually every community in the United States, including yours. But they just can't do this alone. Join me in the fight against hunger in America. For more information on what you can do to get involved, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America. A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.